Welcome to Straight Outta Savannah, where the magic happens. This is my fifth solo episode. The name of this one is The Patterns You Keep Living and How to Finally Break Them. Have you ever looked at your life and thought, why does this keep happening to me? Same kind of relationship, same kind of disappointment, same moment where you shrink yourself again. At some point, it stops feeling like coincidence and starts feeling like a pattern. In today's episode, we're talking about the patterns you keep living and how to finally break them. Patterns are not random. Here's the part most people don't understand. Your patterns are not random. They're not bad luck. They're not because you're too much or not enough. Your patterns are learned responses. They were created at a time in your life when you had to adapt, to be loved, to feel safe, to belong. And the problem is, what once protected you is now the very thing keeping you stuck. What patterns actually look like? Patterns don't always look obvious. Sometimes they sound like, I'll just keep the peace. It's not that big of a deal. I don't want to upset anyone. Sometimes they look like overgiving, overexplaining, overstaying in situations that don't feel right. And sometimes they look like abandoning yourself in small, quiet ways. So often that it becomes normal. The identity connection. This is where it gets deeper because your patterns don't just shape your behavior, they shape your identity. You don't just act like the peacemaker, you become the peacemaker. You don't just overgive, you become the one everyone depends on. And after years of this, you don't even know who you are without the pattern. Yeah, that's why breaking patterns can feel so uncomfortable because it's not just changing behavior, it's changing who you believe yourself to be. Why you haven't broken the pattern yet? Let's be honest about something. You're not stuck because you're weak. You're stuck because the pattern is familiar, and familiar feels safe, even when it hurts. Breaking a pattern means disappointing people, being misunderstood, feeling uncomfortable, and most people aren't taught how to sit in that space. So they go back to what they know, which is what most of us do. Breaking a pattern doesn't start with action, it starts with awareness. It starts with being able to say, this is the moment I usually abandon myself, and choosing something different. Not perfectly, not all at once, but intentionally. Because every time you choose differently, you interrupt the pattern. And that's how identity begins to shift. This is the work. This is the work I do with women. Not surface level change, not quick fixes, but helping you see the patterns you've been living, where they come from, and how they shape your identity. Because once you see it clearly, you're no longer controlled by it. You have a choice. If you've been feeling like you're living the same chapter over and over again, this is your invitation to pause and ask, what pattern am I still participating in? Because awareness is where everything begins. And your next identity starts with one different choice. If this resonated with you, this is exactly what we do inside my pattern mapping sessions, where we don't just talk about what's happening, we uncover why it's happening and shift it at the root. Remember, you're not stuck. Your patterns can be changed. Thank you for joining me on Straight Outta Savannah, where we have conversations around spiritual authority and midlife reinvention. If you are interested in being a collaborator on this show, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. My details will be in the show notes. Thank you so much. Until next time.